Hi Harry, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed by Hamptons International. My first question for you is, GATCOM is such a timeless event. Have you seen it evolve much over the years?
It's evolved hugely. It's become one of the biggest and most established events in our calendar. What's lovely about it is it's quite personable. There's not there's big crowds, but it's not, you don't get lost in the crowd. It's a lovely time of year, beautiful park, and it really has become one of the key fixtures of the eventing season. And I think particularly for competitors and owners, it's something they really aim their horses for, with the championships, the big class being the British Open Championship, and then the Intermediate Championships and the Novice Championship, which are great classes for forecasting future stars. And then a couple of years ago they added an amateur class as well, for riders who haven't competed above a certain level, to compete in the Corinthian Cup.
What does it mean personally to you?
I think it's one of our big targets of the season, but also from a personal point of view, I'm a local rider. I've probably been there pretty much every year of my life. I remember when I was a very small child watching my father compete, and then I rode in the Pony Club jumping class that happens on the Friday, and then have competed there probably for the last 15 years in the main classes. So it's and actually now in the last couple of years I've been roped onto the committee as well. So I've sort of seen GATCOM from every aspect, and it's a really fun event and something we look forward to every year.
And what do you think makes it particularly unique?
I think that the fact that it's a championship, it gives it that much more emphasis in the calendar, but also the course is slightly unusual. You've got the first couple of fences on the flat, and then you just dive down this very steep hill from fence tree, and from then on it's really undulating. So it's it takes a bit of a specialist horse. Your cruising, galloping horse that might be very good around a flat course may not cope with the hills. You need a horse that's adjustable and very well balanced, preferably doesn't pull, and it changes gear very easily. So from that point of view, it's a bit of a specialist course, and just generally from the weekend's point of view, it's fairly unique in that you've got the crescendo coming as the main class runs in reverse order, and it gets really exciting watching it, because that with each horse going, they've got the ability to better the previous horse's score, and you end up with it's tough to get the time there, so you end up with quite a speed race at the end, but with difficult fences around a hard course on the way. But as a competitor, you know that you're breathing down the neck of the person who's just gone, and the guy behind you in the collection ring's breathing down your neck, so it adds that extra bit of excitement and pressure.
And who's your equestrian hero?
Well, there's lots of people who sort of help along the way, and we're lucky to sort of get the limelight, and but there's so many people who help and are very influential, and are often out of sight. But I think the big impacts on my career was my father was always he was, in a way, he was very hands off, very unpressurizing. But I really looked up to him, and he was definitely a little boy who wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. And I think what he taught me was really sort of the importance of horsemanship. And although it's really important to be a great competitor, the horsemanship side always comes first. And I then went to work for William Fox Pitt and spent a couple of years with him, and he was definitely a sort of key, in a way, mentor, and a sort of good sounding board, and then sort of became a good friend. So a lot of what I learned over the years sort of came very much from what I saw there, not just from the training and competing point of view, but also the whole attitude to how he runs his team, and the people who surround him, and the sort of the concept behind everything, and your attitude to people.
And how do you choose your horses?
I think with horses, there's certain things you look for, and some of the horses we end up riding are ones we go out and find, but others find you. So most of the horses I have, we found as unbroken 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds, and you have them for their whole career, and you develop that very strong partnership, which is so key, and a great feeling when you've got that. But also, some horses, you get offered partway through their career, and in a way, those horses find you because you get put together, and it's about relationships, and sometimes it works brilliantly, and sometimes you're not the right pairing. But I think if I'm trying to pick a horse, the key thing is their athletic potential. If they look like athletes, if they find it easy, if they're well balanced, and if they've got natural spring, and that's a sort of feeling you get, which is which suggests they've got that potential, obviously combining with a load of other factors they have to have. But I'd always rather have a horse that had the natural capability, even if they've got a difficult temperament, rather than having a horse with an easy temperament that is perhaps slightly limited in their physical ability.
And as one of Britain's leading event riders, what advice would you give to an aspiring rider?
I think the main thing probably is to enjoy it. We're so lucky to have in this country really good trainers and plenty of horses. We're not having to go and look in different countries too much for other horses, and there's good trainers, there's good advice. There's everything there to help aspiring riders. Sometimes it can probably be too intense, and in what we're doing, it's you've got to have that natural feel and natural ability that I'd personally be a supporter of, not over-educating younger riders, but allowing them to develop naturally and develop that feel and that instinct. And with that, the fun and the enjoyment, you can train that out of people and make it more stress and enjoyment. I think once you grow up a bit, you've got the rest of your career or riding lifetime to train and try and improve. But I'd say at the beginning, it's just about being able to enjoy it and have targets and try and meet them, but actually have fun in the meantime. And I definitely love my time in the pony club, and would encourage people to, certainly my children will stay in the pony club and not leave and move on too early to bigger things, because I think that's where you develop your friends, and I still see a lot of my friends that I made from pony club days.
And moving on to equestrian properties, what are the top three features you would suggest that a first-time equestrian buyer prioritizes?
So I think that I would always look for something which had the natural sort of raw ingredients that you can't change. So before you even start looking at the buildings or anything, is probably the soil type. Good, preferably old turf, free draining. You can ride on all year round. You can turn horses out all year round. In a sort of accessible bit of the country, so it's no good living down a lane you can't get a horse box down. And then with good riding. So much of what we do is not in a school; it's out and about, and in a way, those things are bits you can't change. And then then I'd start to look at the infrastructure and the buildings, and preferably something with scope. Something which you can develop over time and have good staff accommodation and things, so that that's if you've got it takes so much looking after for horses, that if you've got good accommodation, it's much easier for your staff, and everything works better.
It sounds like you've thought a lot about your dream equestrian property.
I think, being a sort of budding architect, I've definitely fiddled around with some plans and elevations. But it's finding what works for you, and everybody has different types of setups, and but I'd have very clear ideas of what would help and what wouldn't, and I think that that's where having a good advisor when you're looking, it's the biggest decision you make, buying a property, and you've got a good advisor who can actually do a lot of that background, those background checks, it helps you. Otherwise, you feel you almost need to operate from somewhere for 2 years before you know it, and then you realise it's not right for you. So if you get good advice, and it can stand you in good stead.
Last but not least, what can we expect from Harry Meade next?
Who knows? I think I'm lucky to have some good horses coming through. I've got a couple of decent ones at the higher levels, and some others which over the next season or so will be getting up there. And it's just about trying to keep doing things to the best of my ability, and hope that we've got horses for future teams going forwards, and just give the best shot.
Thank you very much, Harry.
Thank you.